Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this vampiric civil war featuring a showdown between the Vampire Coast, who shall be led by Luther Harkin, and yes, he's going to be on the Terrorgeist, and he's going to be facing off against the Vampire Counts, who shall be led by the OG himself, Vlad von Karstein. So as far as the build goes, we're really going to be going for aerial dominance. So you can see here we do have Luther Harkin, and he's a pretty scary duelist because not only is he very good up close, you can see poison attacks, 44, 42, 460, a pretty good stat line, but he also has amazing missile attacks. So for example, let's say you're in a bit of a pickle, you have to run from the enemy Terrorgeist. Well, he can shoot them while he's running, and he hits incredibly hard. 578 missile damage, pretty good AP values, and he also does have a little debuff here, which adds a miscast chance, which is surprisingly effective against Vampire Counts. So if they have like Manfred on a dragon or the Red Duke on a dragon, it is going to add a miscast, plus it also does lower their physical resist by 10%. Which is going to help with the other guns and other attacking units. So Luther, definitely a beast. He has some really good debuffs as well. The Hornswoggle, and he does have the Power Siphon, which adds a 15 ability recharge, well, 15 seconds to the ability recharge. So for example, if you're facing off against greenskins or vampires who do like to, for example, really spam spells, you're going to be seeing Invocations and Raise Dead and sometimes Von Hell's Dance Kebab. It's pretty good. Adds to the cooldown, lowers vigor, can't complain. So Luther is most certainly a beast. Top of that, we have a second Death Shriek Terrorgeist, so it's very common for the Vampire Counts to go with the double Terrorgeist or have two big heavy flyers up in the skies. Sometimes you even see the Vargeist coming down to swoop on your gun, so I figured I need to have a pretty powerful Air Force, because if I go in with just Luther and some bats, I could be overwhelmed by Fell Bats, a Zombie Dragon, plus another Terrorgeist, and that would pretty much be like an instant loss or a very tough situation to come back from. So we got Luther, we got the Terrorgeist, we got two Fell Bats as well, because they're going to need to be screening here for the deck droppers with handguns. So I was really counting on defeating the Vampire Air Force, and then from there using the deck droppers to pick off Blood Knights, pick off Mortis Engines, and they have gone through a series of nerfs in the past, I guess it would be like 6 months or so. They had a range nerf. They went from, I think, 140 or 150 to 130. And on top of that, they had an accuracy nerf and a couple other things like that. So, but I still think they're pretty good. I think deck droppers can be functional, but they're certainly not one of those like OP units that are really going to carry you through a game like they used to. They used to be pretty damn brutal for sure. I'm pretty sure they had a reduction in their ammo as well. I think it was their speed got lowered from 90 to 80, which was pretty big. And wasn't it more than that? I could have sworn anyways. I can't remember. It was a while back. But yeah, deck droppers still, I don't think they're going to be like competitive top tier units, like I said, but I think if you build around them like we did in this case, they can be okay. So here on the ground, we have zombie powered deckhand mobs with polearms. They're just going to be holding the line because really my ground force just needs to hold and kind of endure while my air force does most of the heavy lifting with Luther plus the Terrorgeist, etc., etc. So here on the ground, zombie powered deckhand mobs with polearms. In the secondary line, we have Mourngulls. Now Mourngulls have had a nerf recently, but it's not like so huge in the undead matchup. They did lose their terror, but like I said, that doesn't really matter against other undead armies. But these guys are pretty good against Vampire Counts. They heal themselves when they fight, so you don't really have to allocate Invocations of Nehek to heal them up. They have a bonus force infantry. They're great at clearing through zombies and skeletons and Graveguard and pretty much all the undead or Vampire Count infantry. So I feel like they're pretty good. I got two Mourngulls here, plus they're going to be protected from their counters. The natural counters against them would be like Blood Knights, and my opponent here, Hadries, does actually have some Blood Knights, so if they were able to get on Mourngulls, it'd be very bad, but in this case, I feel like I have enough Halberds to protect them. So Halberds, Mourngulls, and then I do also have a Vampire Fleet Captain with Vampires. So we're going to be dropping Invocations of Nehek and Drown Dead. I thought about going with Lore of Deep, but I had so many big, powerful characters like Luther and the Terrorgeist that even with the nerfs to Invocation, I still feel like this is going to be the more optimal route to go. So for my opponent's army, he does have a bit of an Air Force himself. So he does have 4 Fellbats, which is going to be tough because I have 2 Fellbats myself and 2 deck droppers, so it's going to be really hard to protect those deck droppers. So very, very good pick here from Hadries. He does have a single Terrorgeist. Now this Terrorgeist is going to be something I'm going to be just beelining after, trying to take this guy out because I do have the heavy advantage in regards to the aerial duel. On top of that, he does also have Varix Reavers, a lot of stuff to get into the back line. Black Knights, these are obviously used to shut down gunnery mobs and things like that, and mortars and cannons. Well, I guess you don't really see mortars in the undead matchup too much. And he does also have, I think, one group of Blood Knights kind of lurking here somewhere. Yes, Blood Knights. So Blood Knight's pretty good against any large targets, of course, but I'm going to be trying to focus those guys down and, see how it goes. For his main core, he does have Skeleton Warrior Skeletons across the entire front line, so it's going to be pretty chaffy. Skeletons versus deckhand mobs. I think that the deckhand mobs actually would win in really grindy combat. They have more HP and, better melee defense, I think. So 22 compared to 21, actually. It's pretty close. 14, 21, 27, 18, 22, 26. I don't know. Maybe the Skeletons would actually win that, but I do have the HP advantage and, of course, plenty of healing, but so does he. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. In the back, he's got some Zombos. He does have a Mana Battery Necromancer who's going to be stroking that sweet, sweet Forbidden Rod of Corruption, and Vlad von Karstein, the man himself. And, he's actually very tough to snipe. So against Vampire Coast, I could see him as a bit of a niche pick here. So he's got a pretty badass cape. Like he has like some Vampire Beast claws coming down there. Anyways, guys, let's get the show on the road and see how it goes. Up in the skies, we do have the aerial duel. Luther, Harkin, and company are going to be trying to intercept these Fellbats as they do swarm backwards here, trying to go after the deck droppers. But you can see here, Hadries is going to be pulling back. And yeah, it's a little bit scary. I mean, I don't have adequate resources to really protect my entire Air Force, so I was a little bit nervous about that. We are going to be dropping some breath attacks, which do miss horribly, and the deck droppers are going to be opening up shop on the Blood Knights, and we do kill a couple Blood Knights, so put them down to 43, which isn't bad, but the other Fellbats that Hadries did send over here to this little hill still are going to be collapsing here on the deck droppers, and like I said, I just don't have enough to protect those guys. In the meantime, Luther Harkin is going to be pulling back. Felbats are going to be trying to tie these guys up, and I thought, hey, maybe let's pull Luther back, see if we can protect the deck droppers, but I kind of realized after a couple moments, or I guess maybe a little bit later in the battle, though, it's hopeless. I'm not going to be able to stop all those Felbats, so I might as well try and get value elsewhere. In the meantime, the Black Knights are going to be swarming into the flanks. I do have some halberds here. They were at it. It's a bit of a side charge, but it looks like they kind of got the benefit of the brace there. And from here, I'm going to be sending in the zombie pirate deckhand mobs, and the Morghuls are also going to be coming in with their pimp claws. And these guys hit pretty hard. I mean, even against Black Knights, you can see we're chewing these guys down pretty good, so not a bad engagement so far. And the Blood Knights did get slapped with another breath attack from my Terror guys before they charged in, so those guys really just taking a number. And also the fire from the deck droppers was able to get value. Over here we have Luther Harkin, who's going to be cackling in the skies, the madman himself. You can see he's dropping, oh, that's so cool. He's like dropping pistol shots while he's chasing this thing. And like I said, even if you're running from Luther, he's going to be shooting you in the back, which is a very pirate thing to do. We've hornswoggled this guy. His melee defense is lowered, his speed's lowered, and you know, he's coming for that booty right now. So getting some huge damage. Luther Harkin certainly paying dues up in the skies. He's such a powerful duelist. And right here, the Morghuls and the Halberds just kind of defending the flanks. There's not too many good targets for all these cav. The Black Knights, the Varix Reavers, and the Blood Knights here on the far side, trying to circle around, looking for an opportunity. And one of my Terror guys does land over here because he committed most of his heavy cav and, you know, mobile anti-large troops over there. So I'm like, let's see if we can snipe this Necromancer real quick. Maybe I should have sent Luther, but anyways, I'm going to be pulling back here because I do not want any of this Blood Knight charge because that would do a ton of damage. In the meantime, Hadri's is going to be chasing off my Jack Droppers, so this is pretty rough. That's about, I think they're 700 gold apiece, so I'm going to be losing 1,400 gold worth of value right here just to his Felbats. A beautiful play here from Hadri's, good thinking, and the Deck Droppers are going to be sent to the Shadow Realm, and I have my Felbats flying as well, trying to intercept and at least allow my guys to get some value, but it's really not going to pay off there. So in the ground fight, the Morghuls and the Halberds are kind of working together to just claw down these Black Knights, and they're actually doing a really good job just, you know, using their wacky inflatable arms to kind of slap those guys. I thought about going in for a duel against Vlad von Karstein, but I was like, you know what, that's stupid. It's going to take like a year to kill him. I need to focus down everything else and potentially leave Vlad for last. So right here, Luther Harkin just doing, I don't know what he's doing. He's doing like the MC Hammer dance up here, just going back and forth. But yeah, he needs to swoop down and fight. We're going to be trying to 2v1 the other Terror guys who was trying to land on my troops here, but we do get a really nice pin here. We have both of our Terror guys going for him. Luther is going to get slapped with a Master of Beguilement, which is a very good play. Vlad is able to kind of help out this aerial battle, and you can see here my opponent's Terror guys is going to be slamming into my formation, going after my Morghuls right here, but we're going to be following in suit, and hopefully we'll be able to take this guy out. So I really do like the combination of the Morghuls plus the Bull Arms here. I feel like it's pretty good in this matchup. Even without the Terror guys, if you just wanted to like overload more on that, get more Morghuls, more Halberds, or maybe a couple crabs, I feel like you could have a pretty neat death spell. So right here you can see the other Terror guys. The Vampire Counts has fallen, so Luther Harkin and the Death Shriek Terror guys were able to take it out, but the Varix Reavers and all the Knights are going to be charging in. Black Knights are still here. I don't know about the status of the Blood Knights. Let's go ahead and double check. So he does have 21 right here. The Varix Reavers are actually in really good shape. And I do also summon a Zombie Pirate Gunnery mob who's going to be opening up shop, but a huge Winds of Death tearing down the formation. Oh, beautiful stuff here from Hadri. He's just going to be shrekking my formation. So the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs pretty much just get eviscerated. So, okay, I was wondering what happened there. So those guys just got taken apart, and the Vampire Count front line is most certainly going to win this. So the Skeletons appear to be pretty cost effective. And of course, Halberds have very slow attack speed, so it's certainly going to favor like Sword and Board type infantry in that matchup. But the big thing going for me is I still do have the two Terror guys. These guys are going to be grinding out the cav units, and of course Luthers, they don't have anti-large like the Vampire Counts ones, but their combat stats are just generally not bad, so they're going to be able to make great contact here. Invocation of Nehek is going to be going down, which hit the Morghuls. It hit this big juicy pocket of my vampiric troops. That's going to be quite nice. And in the distance, you can see the Felbats and company finally are able to mulch my troops down. So I lost the Death Droppers, I lost all my Felbats. So the aerial battle went well in some respects. We killed his Terror guys, but we certainly lost quite a bit of gold in terms of our Felbats as well as our other troops. Granted, his Felbats aren't going to be like super impactful against what I have left here. So the Morghuls still going with their wacky arms, going to be clubbing. They do have the support of the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs here who are going to be holding and taking most of the damage. And that's what's something that's pretty cool about the Death Shriek Terror guys compared to the other one, is that their base combat stats are higher at the cost of anti-large. You can see over here, it looks like the White King did use his ring, and yeah, my Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs over here are pretty much all but done for. And the Vampire Fleet Captain is trying to get away, but I don't know if she's going to be able to go. Vlad, let's go ahead and take a look at his speed. So the White King has 33. I think Vlad von Karstein is pretty quick, like closer to 40, but she's going to scurry away now, but she's certainly in a little bit of a compromised position. So my two Terror guys do surge in, and there are some Blood Knights left, but it wasn't like a critical mass of Blood Knights that could really just burn down a Terror Geist. So I felt pretty comfortable getting in here. So we're going to be trying to grind while we still have some zombies left. I believe I have one more summon, and of course summon units, due to the most recent nerfs, are fine. They're only going to be lasting a set amount of time, so it's not going to be as powerful as before. But Luther Harkin sitting atop his Terror Geist is going to be dropping some pistol shots, feasting on some of these Blood Knights right here. So hopefully we can drag those guys down and be in a pretty good situation here. So Blood Knights down, but Invocation of Nehek keeping those bad boys alive. Very good one right there. Going to be hitting the Varix Reavers as well. But now I pulled the Morghuls from this other fight because it felt like a little bit of a waste. And they're just going to be surging in right here, doing a ton of damage as they come in impact with these chaff units. And also they do have a bonus for his infantry. Vlad is infantry sized, and the White King is also infantry sized. So he's going to potentially be taking some pretty good damage from the Warngulls if their attacks actually end up on top of him. Over here on this part of the battlefield, the Vampire Counts have certainly won it out. My Zombie Pyrotechnic mobs are getting surrounded. The Fellbats coming in and not going to do a ton of damage, but they do trigger the rear charge. So that's something that's good about like chaff units, direwolves, Fellbats. Anytime you're in a situation where you need to like crumble something or break its leadership, even if you're not going to do damage to it, if it's fighting something tough, you can come in, immediately get that leadership penalty and do some good work. In the meantime, I was using Luther Harkin to take out this caster. The Necromancer was using his battery to really allow Hadri's to get a tons of invocations, just all kinds of winds of magic. You know, he used the winds of death. So I really want to finish this guy off to make sure that he can't use any more foul magic on me. But Hadri's does intercept. Very good Fellbats right there. Going to be jumping on top of Luther Harkin. But Luther has pretty good mats. He's going to be pushing through, and he's certainly very, very good at hunting wizards here. So he's going to be jumping onto this Necromancer, trying, but you can see here the Vampire Count's using a lot of resources to kind of keep him off. And the main fight's going quite well. You can see here the Warngulls are just doing a great job. And also I do have the Vampire Fleet Captain, I believe Admiral, yeah, Captain, who's going to be continue to fight here with the Warngulls. So hopefully this pocket will be able to hold, but Vlad is going to be surging back forth here. And you can see here, Luther actually taking a little bit of damage, but we are able to get the Necromancer and a lot of these Vampire Counts cav units, the Varus Reavers. The Blood Knights only have 3 models left, and they are most certainly at their healing cap. You can see these guys, 2 models left, and they're going to be crumbling here pretty bad as the Terrorgeist do surge forward. The Warngulls have really been pretty good MVPs this game as well. You can see 69 kills, that's what she said, and 80 kills on this Warngull, and there's certainly a lot more to claw through here. So I feel like they're a very, very good pick against the Vampire Counts. Definitely solid stuff. In the meantime, though, Hadri's is going to be getting something that could get him back in the game here. As you can see, the bounce bar is in my favor a little bit. The White King is able to go over here and finish off my caster, so I'm without magic now. But again, Luther is going to be very scary. Vlad is a pretty powerful duelist in his own right, but Vlad doesn't have the best armor piercing. And, you know, Luther Harkin does have 80 armor, plus he has just so many good abilities, plus his pistol. He's arguably one of the better duelists in the game when he's on his Terrorgeist. He just has so many abilities, great utility, great missile shots. He does some, pretty good work. And he was very heavily overshadowed for a long time because Count Noctilus was just so abusive and so powerful, right? He just had such good defensive stats. He was hard to kill. The summons were just so good that it was kind of hard to go for other lore choices when you had Noctilus. But now that there's been some changes, I feel like Luther Harkin and even Araness Assault Spite in some matchups might be better than Count Noctilus. I mean, it's hard to say, a little bit early on, but you know what? Time will tell. So Luther Harkin's going to be going in right here, and Vlad, like I said, very tough to kill, so we're going to be casting some debuffs there. That was actually a misclick. I meant to cast it on the White King because I wanted to kill the White King here. So the White King, I was like, let's get rid of him. He's an easier target. It's going to get rid of some of my opponent's punching power, and from there we can potentially clean up the rest of the troops. Now, as far as my ground forces go, I just have 2 Warngulls left. We have a group of 10 right here. We have 7 Warngulls right here, but the Master of Beguilement is going to put their melee attack down to 0, which means they're pretty much going to be missing against like zombies and chaff units. A breath attack going down right there on Vlad von Karstein, trying to poke him, but he does use the Karstein ring, so happy to bait that out right now. So from there, like I said, we're going to be going after the White King, trying to polish that guy off, and I believe there's another breath attack coming from Luther. It looks like it might have been one of those cases in which it was just like, just a wretch and nothing actually came up there, but yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Luther Harkin and company are going to be surging in, going after the White King. If we can get him, oh, look at the damage. Luther Harkin doing so much work. 44 melee attack, definitely quite solid. And if you look at the melee attack on the Vampire Count Terrorgeist, they have much lower. I believe it's in the 20s, like 29 or 28. So again, they're very reliant on their bonus first large, but the Death Reach Terrorgeist, not so much. So here we're going to be jumping in, just dogpiling on this White King. A very good invocation of the heck is going to be, keeping him tanking, keeping him going a little bit longer, but for the most part, these 2 Terrorgeists shouldn't have too much of a problem taking out the White King. In the meantime, the wacky inflatable arm guys are just going to be slapping through chaff units, which they are so good at. I mean, hordes of skeletons, hordes of zombies, that is like the name of their game. Plus, they have good enough AP to actually punch through, Graveguard and elite troops. Yeah, it's not going to be as quick, but these guys can do some serious work. So they're going to be clawing their way through this battle here. And this White King still holding on for dear life. The battle is at the 9-minute and 30-second mark, so certainly pretty grindy here. The White King, we need to get him down. And there he goes. You can see a big contact there, which means that, which doesn't mean, but you can see that his healing cap is actually getting pretty close to his health here, which means we're getting pretty close to going down. I don't think there's going to be any more indications of Nehek. Maybe one more single target. It looks like there's going to be a buff going down somewhere there. It looked like there was something, but it is going to be Arcane Conduit. But I do also cast the Power Siphon on top of him from Luther, which is going to add 15 seconds and lowers recharge and all kinds of other good stuff like that. So there, the King is going to be going down. The White King is going to fall. And at this point, it's just a little bit grindy. You can see here that the Warngulls are just going to be cleaning up shop. And my 2 monstrous units are going to be jumping on Vlad, who is very tanky, very resilient against his damage, but just having no support against like 2 big, powerful monstrous units, he's not going to be able to stand. So well played to Hadrius. It was certainly a very fun game. The Air Force battle was pretty tense. I actually felt like I was in pretty good shape, but when he did get the quad Fellbats and was able to chase down my Jack Choppers, that's losing a lot of gold just right out of the gate. So losing that was pretty tough. I was really relying on those guys to shoot the Blood Knights. But through attrition, we were able to grind those guys down. But look at the kills on the Morngulls. 141, 156. Those guys were just MVPs, just cleaning up all the chaff. Because sometimes what happens is like you'll kill the elites if you're going with Terrorgeist builds, and from there you just kind of get swamped down by chaff and you can't kill them. You just slowly get grinded out. So the Morngulls, I think, were really the unspoken MVPs. 156, 141, great stuff. And they work so well with the halberds because most of the vampire counts, and here's kind of the school of thought, right? How are the vampire counts going to kill Morngulls? Number one, Blood Knights. Number two is going to be Terrorgeists, generally speaking, right? So I have answers against Terrorgeists with the Death Streaks, and I have answers against the Blood Knights with all the halberds. So I felt like I was pretty safe with the Morngul picks here. And yeah, they did pretty good. But Luther and the Terrorgeists were able to really bully the skies pretty hard. Obviously, the other Terrorgeists didn't have much of a chance in that 2v1 environment. Hadrius had some pretty slick plays, like landing, pulling me into combat with some of his ground troops. But for the most part, it's really hard to escape Luther Harkin and his Terrorgeist buddy there, especially with Poison, Hornswoggle, and Taunt, and all those very good abilities. So yeah, it was a fun build for sure. It almost makes me wonder if I should just cut the Jack Droppers. Because I guess I could cut the Jack Droppers, get like one more Fellbat, and then just get like another Morngul on the ground. I feel like that might be like safer. Yeah, that's probably, like, honestly, considering the nerfs to the Jack Choppers, that's probably a bit of a safer pick. But yeah, it was a fun build, and I liked Hadri's build for sure. It was pretty well designed. It had good answers against gun lines, so it had Fellbats, it had a lot of cav units, it had, decent anti-large in the Blood Knights. Like, if this Terrorgeist had been like a second Blood Knight, I might have been in a little bit of trouble. One of the reasons why the game went so well is I was able to isolate that Terrorgeist and get so much value where it couldn't really fight back and get support. But had this been like a second Blood Knight, like, maybe. Maybe. But yeah, the Terrorgeist, again, is so good against crabs. And one of the more common Vampire Coast builds against Vampire counts is going to be using like a Blitz build, right? So you use Halberds, you use Morngulls, and then you use crabs. You use the Rotting Promethean. So having the Terrorgeist there is super useful. So there's some give and take. Anyways, very well played to my opponent, Hadrius. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Vampire Coast versus Vampire Count game. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.